Hello, Stephen Watson with ESPN Madison.com reporter Tom Lee, as we are back for another edition of a preview for the Wisconsin men's basketball team. The 15th ranked Wisconsin Badgers travel to Happy Valley this upcoming weekend on Saturday to take on the Nittany Lions. Penn State 11-8 overall, 4-4 in the Big Ten Conference. Wisconsin 15-4, 5-2 in the conference, 3 straight Big Ten wins. Let's go back to this past weekend where the Badgers traveled to Evanston to take on Northwestern Wildcats. There's a big story in that one I'm sure you want to talk about, Tom.
Was it the fact that Keaton Ankville scored 16 points?
That was up there.
No, Josh Gasser, that was a heck of a performance. Obviously, of historical perspective, it's never happened before, triple-double. But the thing that came about from there that the coaches were pleased with was the fact that he was aggressive. They've been trying to get him to be, not that they're disappointed with his aggression level beforehand, but they're trying to get him to become a little bit more aggressive, attack the lane, just because he's such a good player. He's so heady. He's so good with the ball that they want him to utilize all the assets that he can. So against Northwestern, I guess they kind of keyed on other guys. They probably wanted to shut down a little bit of Jordan Taylor and John Lure, and Josh Gasser wound up burning them, and he wound up getting a triple-double down. It took a little while. It went down to the stretch, and Brett Valentine needed to hit a three to get it. But, you know, that was quite the performance by a freshman, and I worry they setting the bar too high for himself. But he's got plenty of good games coming up down the road for him, and not sure if they'll all be triple-doubles, but yeah, there's a lot to look forward to with Josh Gasser.
How big is that for him, in his freshman year, becoming the first player, let alone in Wisconsin franchise history to just record a triple-double? How big is that for him moving forward?
I don't really know if you can put it in perspective as far as the historical significance. I mean, he's the first Big Ten player this year to get a triple-double. I think I heard somewhere that he's the first Big Ten freshman ever to get one. I could be wrong on that.
Since Magic Johnson.
Yeah, since Magic Johnson. So so we're talking 30 years there at least. So, historically wise, it's huge just because it's something that UW has never seen before, and to think that it came from a freshman or it would come from a freshman is just unbelievable. But kind of like what I was saying a minute ago, it's huge for his confidence, just the fact that he knows now that he can be aggressive. He can go after attack the lane, and if it's not there, he can dish it out, and he knows his teammates are capable and willing to hit those shots. So I think that's what you got to pay attention to. Is it's just you'll start seeing, I think, more confidence from this kid moving forward.
So you see some young production from the young guns of Wisconsin. Now let's move forward to Penn State, a team that really relies on their older players. 4 of 5 of the starters are seniors. How will this pose a problem for Wisconsin?
Well, the thing about it is they play together for so many games, probably well over 150 games together. I mean, these guys have been playing ever since they were freshmen. You remember Taylor Battle came out of the scene, and he was the big thing in the Big Ten. And now he's back for his senior year. He's the leader of that group, and they got some athletes over there. I'm not sure if anybody's been able to see them on TV at all, but they pose a lot of matchup problems just with their length and athleticism. They got some very good players there down on the block, that whether it's Jeff Brooks or I'm losing the other guy's name right now, but you got Taylor Battle, who's obviously just one of the more dynamic players in all the Big Ten. So they're a veteran group, just as an Illinois or an Ohio State is. So they play together for multiple years, and that's something that's going to show. That's why they're having success, because they understand how to work with each other, how to work off of what their teammates are doing off screens or off ball dribbles or anything like that. So, yeah, that's the number one thing that the Badgers are going to have to watch out for, is just that continuity that team has.
You mentioned him. Taylor Battle is certainly going to be something exciting to watch and a little worrisome for Badger fans. He's averaging 20.3 points per game. He's going to be guarding Badgers' Jordan Taylor, averaging 20.9 points per game in Big Ten play. Who needs to play better between Jordan Taylor and Taylor Battle?
That's a really good question. I think in order for Penn State to win, just because Taylor is the guy that everything goes through him, Taylor Battle. So I think he needs to step up to the occasion and play one of his better games. We saw last year when Penn State came to the Kohl Center, he had a good look down the stretch that would have won them that game from 3 points. Instead, it went to overtime. But whenever he plays well, it's cliche, but whenever he plays well, the whole team plays well. So I mean, he's kind of like the guy that gets he's the oil to their engine. So you get a guy like Jordan Taylor, he's going to play well. So I mean, it's not like he has to play out of his mind. He doesn't have to go all Jimmer Fredette and score 40 points, but he does have to be like he always is, careful with the ball and distribute to his teammates. But Taylor Battle might need to have one of those games where he goes off for 20, 25 points because Penn State doesn't. They have a lot of athletes, as I talked about a minute ago, but they don't have a lot of scores. So he's basically the guy that's going to get them the points, and hopefully, for their sake, he can keep them in the game against Wisconsin.
Now, Wisconsin traveling to Happy Valley. They're 12-0 in the past 12 meetings against the Nittany Lions, 6-0 at the Bryce Jordan Center. However, you've seen a sort of shift from the Nittany Lions playing at home this year with a big couple of wins.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing about it is they finally got that one. They knocked off, I forget who it was first, Illinois or whoever. Yeah, I believe it was Illinois that they knocked off, and that just got them their confidence going. Then they knock off the Michigan State. So, I mean, once you start winning those games at home, that's what fuels you, and that's what makes them understand that, hey, we can knock off these premier teams in the Big Ten, and we can give the Ohio States a run on the road, even though they're the #1 ranked team in the country. We can beat anybody. So I think it's just that confidence level that's been instilled with them, especially at home.
Is this the time that we see the streak end for the Nittany Lions?
You know, I thought that going into that Northwestern game would be the game the Badgers dropped, but after seeing that display on the road in a place that the Badgers historically don't play well, I'm thinking the Badgers are too focused right now. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I think Penn State's going to make it tight throughout, but I see the Badgers pulling away and maybe getting a 8 to 10 point win.
Now, you know, every single Big Ten game is important. I think anybody can agree with that. However, if you look past this Penn State game, Wisconsin plays Purdue and Michigan State next week. Is this game bigger than normal, just knowing how big of next week is?
Well, you can call it the traditional trap game, so to speak. And like Brett Bielema does with this football team, I think Bo Ryan does a fantastic job of keeping the guys focused on whatever's next on the schedule. So that obviously, I think, in talking to the players last night, I get the feeling that they're focused in on this Penn State team. And it's probably a good thing that Penn State has knocked off a couple of teams already, just because that strikes the fear into the opposing teams that haven't played them yet. So I think Wisconsin's completely focused on Penn State, but you're right. I think this next 3-4 game stretch, actually 5 games if you want to include Ohio State, is what's going to define the season for the Badgers. And it's got to start off with a tough win on the road. Anytime you get a win in the road on the Big Ten is obviously huge. And that doesn't matter if you're playing Iowas of the Big Ten or Michigan State. So any win is big, and I think the Badgers understand that, and I think they have a good feeling that this Penn State team is for real. And could raise some hair a little bit and get after it. So I think they're focused, and I think they'll get this done on Saturday, and then they'll move forward to see what happens next week at home.
Once again, the 15th ranked Wisconsin Badgers travel to State College, Pennsylvania to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. 3 p.m. tip-off on Saturday. I'm Stephen Watson with ESPN Madison reporter Tom Lee. We'll be back before every game to preview on ESPNMadison.com.